Broadcasting from the Keep Moving Forward Creator Studios, it's time for the Athletes of the Titan Games podcast. This limited release show features the stories of the 2019 contestants of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's athletic competition, NBC's The Titan Games. Now here's your host, Katie Galley.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Athletes of the Titan Games podcast. I'm your host, Katie Galley. In the Keep Moving Forward Creator Studio with me today, I have Titan Games athlete, special education teacher, and strength and conditioning coach, Ashley Huhn. How are you doing, Ashley?
Doing well. How are you?
I am doing good. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So just to get the ball rolling, I want to kick it off with, where did you grow up, and how, if at all, was your childhood shaped by athletics?
Oh, man. So I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas, and man, my brother started playing soccer when he was 9, so that made me about 3. My dad and my brother were my first coaches, and I played soccer for 18 years. I played in high school, played in college, got a D1 scholarship to go play in college, and did that for 2 years, and then actually did 2 years of USA Triathlon Nationals, so qualified for Nationals for triathlon my senior year. Then did long distance running, was top 5% in Dallas-Fort Worth for 10Ks. And then got an overuse injury, took up bodybuilding for like 2 months maybe. Got a little burnt out and needed something a little bit more competitive, and got introduced to CrossFit, and man, life's been crazy ever since.
Man, so how did you, go from being a Division I level soccer player into deciding that you wanted to go in and do a triathlon and be on USA triathlete?
It's actually kind of funny. Road biking scared me, and I didn't know how to swim freestyle.
Wow.
And so I actually got invited to do a triathlon. I love cardio. That's my background. I love to run. Someone after soccer season asked me to do a triathlon up in North Carolina. I was on a mountain bike, and I had my head up the entire swim, and it was so frustrating because I was used to coming from, Division I athletics. I'm like, man, I should be able to do this.
Yeah.
And the bike scared me. I had cars driving by me, and I'm like, man, this is kind of scary. Well, I ended up transferring down to the University of Texas in Austin. Triathlon's really big down there. And it's like, you know what? I want to see what I can do in this sport. Taught myself how to swim, ended up qualifying through a regional race for nationals 3 months later. And it scared me. And so that was my drive to do it, because I like doing things that scare me, things that are challenging. And so I just kind of went with it.
I love that, intentionally going into this skid. I guess the thing that is most fearful in your heart, that's what you're going after hardest, so you can overcome that fear. And so going on that USA triathlon track, what was that journey like for you? And then how did you end up deciding then that did you end up deciding to stop doing triathlons and then just focus on the long distance running portion? Or what was that, that part of your journey like?
Correct. It's really funny. After my first national race with USA Triathlon, I actually said I would never do another triathlon. It was the hardest thing I had ever done in my life. And I actually was laughing a year later because I walked up to nationals with my team, and I'm like, well, here we go again. And I was like, how did I end up here? And I ended up shaving like 40 minutes off my time. Like, it was that second year was kind of like my drive of, wow, okay, I can do this. But a lot of it got made up in the run. The run was just such a massive catch-up point for me. I had like a 41 minute 10K at the end of one of my runs at nationals. After biking, I don't even remember how many miles the bike was. But I was like, okay. And so I got out of college, and I realized I missed my team, and training for triathlon by yourself was, it was just different. And I knew I was a runner. And so I just I went to running, and my goal was to be top 5% in Dallas-Fort Worth for 10Ks and to get a sub 40 10K. And I did that, but with that came an overuse injury. So I had to put running aside for a little bit.
And what was that overuse injury, and how did you navigate that? I mean, loving running so much and then all of a sudden being sidelined by an injury from it. What was that transitional period like for you, realizing having to deal with the injury and having to put running on the back burner for a while?
It was pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie. So my feet wouldn't stop cramping. I would just get these massive foot cramps, and my ankles were beat to crap. And I mean, it just like, once the foot cramps started, I knew that I had to kind of chill. Cause I mean, I was doing 10 plus miles on the treadmill every other day with, 5 or 6 on the in-between days. And so I knew I had to stop. And every time I tried to run, it would start up again. And I cried so hard because that's what I loved to do, was to run. And I got introduced to the bodybuilding world. And, that's kind of how I tried to transition out of the cardio aspect, and it kind of drove me crazy. And that's why finding CrossFit, was so massive for me, is because it wasn't just running. I'd never touched a barbell. Like, I played college soccer, so we squatted and we had, a little bit of stuff, but man, I have pictures from my first day of CrossFit, and it was a joke. It was a joke. I look at him and I'm like, am I cleaning the barbell, or is that a thruster? Or is that me attempting a snatch? Like, I can't tell what I'm doing. And so, but just finding something else that scared me, I kept trying to transition. And finally, when I found CrossFit, I was like, you know what, this is it.
Wow.
And
so initially though, after that overuse injury and then the in-between, so why bodybuilding? Was it simply because you knew it was just strictly, there was no cardio in it, or were you just trying out anything you could in bodybuilding, kind of, you fell into that?
I got introduced to it. The guy I was with was doing it. And, I was like, I've never looked like, I was tiny. I weighed, 105, between 105 and 115 pounds almost my entire life until I found CrossFit. Wow. Even when I was bodybuilding, like, I was tiny. And so I'd never had that, like, built look, the chiseled look, anything like that. I didn't have abs. I didn't, and I was like, that'd be really cool to figure out how to do that. And so, I was just trying to channel my competitive. I'm extremely competitive, so I was trying to find something to channel it.
Yeah.
And I realized, it's very subjective. Bodybuilding is. And so, I wanted something that was more concrete, the fastest, the strongest, whatever that may be, not not based on how I looked solely alone.
Yeah. And so, from there, then how did you find CrossFit? Did someone introduce it to you? Did you just one day discover it?
I was a CrossFit basher. I was a bodybuilder.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'd met somebody, and they're like, hey, let me take you to my gym. I think you'll like this. Oh, I was so mad. I was so frustrated. Like, I'd played sports my entire life growing up. I was a Division I college athlete, and I walk into the gym and I can't do a pull-up. And I'm like, oh, this isn't okay. But there were parts of it I was good at, like the running part and like the cardio side of it. And so that kind of hooked me. But then the real hook was the stuff I couldn't do. The pull-ups. I do ring rows. Like, I looking back to this day, that was 3 years ago. And I'm just like, man, like, everything has changed. I gained a solid 30, 40 pounds.
Wow.
And just the weight that I can move now I am so thankful for CrossFit. It's crazy.
Yeah. It is incredible too, to reflect back. It's easy to forget how far you've come when you just look at this isolated moment today. But when you actually look back and reflect on the journey from where you started to where you are now, it really is incredible. And it's so important too, to reflect back.
It is. Yeah. The pictures show it.
Yeah.
Sure. I was tiny.
They don't lie.
Nope. They definitely don't.
And so, obviously you're so involved and have been so involved your entire life with fitness and soccer and, getting so heavily involved in CrossFit and loving it. So then how does being a special education teacher fall into that? And are you a strength and conditioning coach for a soccer program, or are you through CrossFit? How do your quote, day job, how does that fit into this, this life of fitness for you?
So I actually just moved to Denver almost a year ago in February of 2018. They called me literally out of nowhere. Have no idea how they got my resume. It's always been my dream to live in Colorado. I was in Arlington, Texas at the time. I was teaching a 6th grade general education classroom when not only did Denver call me and say, hey, can you be here in 2 weeks? But also it's the same week Titan Games called me. And so my kids were just, my 6th graders were just like, what's going on? But, I did it. I started all of this for them. Honestly, I wanted my entire life, if you go back into my journals from when I was a little girl, all the way through high school, I always said I wanted to change the world. That was my sayings, change the world. And so, once I got out of college, I was not really sure what I wanted to do. And my parents were like, Ash, I think you'd be a really good teacher. So I went to school and worked and went back to school. And got my teaching certification, started out in 2nd grade and moved up to 6th grade. And now I'm special ed in high school. And the high schoolers fit my personality. I'm a pretty sarcastic person, so they can catch on. So on top of being special ed, I also am the advanced weightlifting, beginner weightlifting teacher, and then slowly transitioning into the strength and conditioning coach for all the sports at the school. And so I help support people in the weight room, the teams in the weight room, and the other coaches. And hey, so-and-so needs help deadlifting. Can you help us with this form? And so that's kind of my half of my role at school. The first half is obviously special ed, right, and taking care of those kids.
I mean, that is really cool. I mean, you found this niche with the guidance of your parents. I mean, kind of finding something that you would be good at and really diving into that. But then, too, having the opportunity to work with all different sports. That's really interesting. So you get to be the strength and conditioning coach across the board. And so when you do that, I mean, do you have are you drawn to one sport more than another? Do you like coaching one in particular? How do you come up with all of these different training programs for each of the different sports?
Honestly, I kind of just so that has been probably my biggest challenge, and really trying to make sure that as a newer coach, trying to make sure that I keep them safe in their sport before anything. Mm-hmm. So my biggest focus is, I want them to be good. I want my basketball players, they want to dunk. So obviously, I'm going to introduce them to things that are going to help their vertical, like Olympic weightlifting. Olympic weightlifters have the highest vertical of any sport, according to the Olympic Training Center. And so introducing them to that, but at the same time, keeping them strong in their core, making sure that, even though they can't dunk, they're going to be able to get through a basketball game without getting injured. And so really trying to focus on those fast twitch muscles and their core stability and make sure that they're just a solid athlete. And then we can focus on becoming a solid basketball player. And I feel like that's super important for high schoolers. I didn't have that, as a high school athlete. So, someone in the weight room to teach me how to stay safe. And shoot, I got hurt so much. If I had, maybe a little bit of weight on me, and so that's really my focus, is trying to keep my guys safe and girls, and just really kind of developing the core that it's going to take to keep them safe before anything.
Yeah, I really like that too. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's so important, the weightlifting component of everything. But then knowing that it's an accessory to the sport that they're doing. So the highest level of importance is keeping them safe and training them so they're going to be safe on the field, safe on the court, safe on the track. And that starts in the weight room and building, like you're saying, building that core, building that stability. And so when you got that call to go to Denver, and that same week you said you got that call for the Titan Games, what even prompted you in the first place to apply for the Titan Games? How did you find out about it, and how did you end up there?
That's funny, because they also called me out of nowhere. Both these calls were just like the most random, out of nowhere phone calls that I could have ever imagined. So I forgot who my initial producer was. Someone from NBC had called me and was like, hey, we were digging through some old videos from Spartan Team Challenge that I had actually submitted with one of my best friends back in Texas, Jared, who was on American Ninja Warrior. And so they had this video and they said, you're a teacher, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm in the process of moving to Colorado, but yeah, I'm a teacher. And they're like, that's perfect because we want normal everyday people, who have normal jobs but are athletic. And he's like, you should apply for the show. Well, I went through the entire process, which is a quite lengthy process, and just kept making it through. And before I knew it, I'm at the combine. Like, what just happened? And I'm like, there's cameras everywhere. Like, so it just was kind of one of those things that came. I mean, it was just part of my journey, and I'm extremely thankful for it.
That is really cool too, that both of those opportunities came up at the same time. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you were prepared to take those opportunities and walk through those doors, and they happened to occur at the right at the same time.
Yes, they did.
And so you were just kind of in the curation. They had found your video for was it another show that you had applied for, the Spark Team Challenge?
Yeah, Spartan Team Challenge is just another show for NBC.
Okay.
It's a Spartan race, but you're on a team and you're trying to win the race. And it's a group of 4, it's 2 guys and 2 girls, and we'd applied, and I guess I didn't realize that they kept the videos. And I guess that's where they found me. So
it makes sense that they would go back in, former videos, and because they have, so many different athletic competitions that come out of there. And so to go back in those other applications, that's really amazing that it worked out like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, I mean, from there, when you went to the combine and you competed, and so I imagine, the waiting period again to find out whether or not you were going to be on the show. So when did you end up finding out, and then ultimately what was your experience like actually being a contestant on the Titan Games?
Oh man, how long after that was that? It was maybe a month later. I kid you not, I stared at my phone constantly. I checked my email. I think Verizon probably thinks I lost my mind because why is this girl checking her email every 5 seconds? Because no one really knew what was going on. Everyone at the combine was just like, are they going to take everybody? Well, there's no way they can take everybody. And like, we're all doing the math. Like, okay, so if it's this many episodes, like we're just sitting there, we're trying to figure it out because they kept everything pretty under wraps.
Mm-hmm.
Even during the filming, like everything was very under wraps. And so we just were kind of, okay, like we're just going to kind of go with it and show up and see what happens. And so the experience of getting that call, my producer, when he called, he was like, so I'm having to make the call, to let people know that unfortunately, they weren't chosen for the show, but that, we hope they apply again and this and that. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, and I am getting texts that, some friends that I went to the combine with or met at the combine, had gotten the call that they were on the show. And I'm sitting here listening to this guy tell me, that I didn't make it. And I'm like, oh, wonderful. Okay. And then he's like, well, fortunately, you're not one of those calls. And so I lose it. And my initial reaction to stuff like that is I hit the deck. I hit my knees, and I just am so thankful at that point. And yeah, and then it's, okay, well, what are the events going to be?
Yeah.
No idea. And so you have no idea what's to come. And so I literally was just loading up barbells. I was loading up heavy yoke carries. I was loading up everything heavy I could, Atlas stones, just trying to do everything I could. Was running, I did Murph. I don't know how many times I did Murph.
Oh my God.
I'm just like, okay, so body weight, I'm running, I got this. And just trained myself to death and had fun doing it. Honestly. I mean, it was exciting going to the gym every day. Like, okay, what should I do today? And I was on that path completely alone. I was fairly new to Denver, hadn't really found a gym to fit in with yet, and didn't have the coach that I had back in Dallas, because I was at CrossFit Strong in Dallas, and they're phenomenal. I had individualized programming. I was on a competition team, and, I lost that. And so I was kind of just training on my own, trying to figure out what to do. And so the experience was definitely once in a lifetime. It was different than anything else I'd ever done. Emails flying everywhere, just, hey, you need to be here in like 15 minutes. Okay, I'm at the pool. So it was fun. The people were absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. The people from the show that we worked with are some of the nicest people I've ever met, ever dealt with. The producers were amazing. The Rock was amazing.
Of course.
He is a sweetheart. He completely takes over a room. And I mean, just the whole thing was, they told us to write everything down. One of the guys who was working with us, he's like, write everything down, record what you can, like, remember these moments, because it's going to go by so fast. And now that I look back, I'm like, should have written more down. Should have taken. I'm sitting here watching how many pictures everyone took, and I'm like, like, why didn't I take those pictures? So it was an experience for sure.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. And I love too how you didn't know what was going to come, and so you just had to get in the gym and you just trained for anything and everything you could, and just getting prepared for whatever was going to be thrown at you, because again, you didn't know this opportunity was going to come up, so you had to be prepared for whatever you didn't know if you would get back there either, so you had to just be ready to take it all. And two, I love the fact that it's this seems to be a common theme, the community of the people that were there, the individuals that you get to interact with, and it really is like even though you're competing against one another, it's like a team sport. You're rallying behind one another. You want everybody to succeed too.
It was very difficult. I'm a very, very competitive person, but it was difficult waiting around to find out who you were up against, because you're just like, oh, please don't be her. Please don't be her or her or her, because I really like her. Like, and you're just kind of going down the list. You're like, man, like, everybody's so close. Everybody's such good friends. Everybody's supporting everybody. And I mean, even afterwards, it's just like, you did absolutely amazing. Like, that was awesome. And it's just, I mean, the community, even now, I'm sad I'm not in LA with everybody. For the premiere, everybody went back to LA, or a lot of people did. I have work tomorrow. So, so, just that community in and of itself is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it seems that way, and it's amazing that you got to be a part of it, part of the inaugural season, and just always, like, even though you didn't, maybe you don't have as many pictures that you would like, it's true, you have the memories of it, and you have the people, you have those connections that are going to be lasting relationships that you can call on and lean on because of this incredibly unique experience that you got to share with all of these people. And so, with all the individuals that you met and just this experience that you had, I wonder, what is your definition of a Titan, and how do you believe that your experience as this Titan will now carry over into the rest of your life?
I think a Titan is honestly someone who can just, honestly, a Titan to me is someone who is going to persevere through anything that's thrown at them. And I think that honestly is kind of the way that they kept it the way that they did, kind of under wraps. What's it going to be? Is because mentally that was difficult. And it's not just a physical competition. And I think that's actually what I took most away from it, is that mental aspect of, what is it going to be? Is it strength? Is it speed? Is it grippy? What is it? Because it's American Ninja Warrior and The Rock. Like, you've got grippy and body weight versus The Rock.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so that mental game, and I feel like a Titan is just someone who can persevere through that and get through that mental aspect and push through that physical side and excel and, get through it. And give absolutely everything that they have in the process, and just give themselves. So from here, my mental game has been pretty different since Titan. And, again, I'm a small town Texas girl who never, I was saying this today, never imagined that I would be in this situation. I can't tell you how many times I've said it, like, this doesn't feel real. And so I guess just taking what I went through mentally to get there, to get through it, and, everything that went into it, and the training and everything, just taking that and building the confidence that it takes to just keep moving forward with life, on to the next challenge, on to the next thing. And I can't wait to find out what's next.
Yeah.
That's just my mentality. All right, what's next? Where's this going to go? And so the show just has really kind of propelled me forward into that of, I'm ready to conquer just about anything at this point.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. And so then, I mean, what is next for you? Do you have another show on the horizon that you want to apply for? Another competition that you're looking at getting involved with? What's next for you?
Ooh, a lot of people have asked me that. And it's really hard for me to say because Titan came out of nowhere.
Right.
Came completely out. And so, I can't 100% say what's next. Everyone keeps telling me I need to do American Ninja Warrior. So, I mean, maybe. I mean, the application, I think, it was due today or something like that. And so probably not this year. But I'm currently just competing in some weightlifting events, trying to qualify for AO3 in Daytona with USA Weightlifting. I have that. And I'm also studying to get my CSCS, which is your Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist certification.
Awesome.
And really try to push into the fitness world.
Yeah.
In a bigger way. I'm hoping then, just kind of doing it on the side. So that's kind of what I foresee as next. As for TV shows, I'd love to go back to Titan. Yeah. I would love to even just be in that setting again, even if I'm not competing, just being around those people is just like, let's go.
Yeah.
So, you never know. So I'm just kind of along for the ride at this point and just kind of enjoying the premiere tonight and then everything that's to come after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you should revel in this, the fact that you got to be a part of this and you excelled at it. And then, yeah, regardless of, if there's another show on the horizon that you can apply for, it's just that you set personal goals. You continue to set goals because that goes along with that mentality of, like you're saying, being a Titan, being ready for anything, persevering, persisting, being relentless. And so just continually setting goals to better yourself in whatever area that you're in. And so intentionally going after your strength and conditioning certificate, going to compete in USA weightlifting competitions. I mean, that is it. I mean, setting those goals to just better yourself in every aspect of your life. And so, Ashley, I just have one final question that I ask all of my interviewees, just with everything that you've accomplished today and knowing that you have so much left, and with all these new goals that you're setting and that you're going to achieve, what do you want to be remembered for?
Not settling, not quitting. It's been a rough road. I'm not going to lie. There's a handful of people who've been with me along this road, and a lot of times I wasn't the one that was the quote unquote favorite. I wasn't the one picked first. I wasn't, I got a D1 scholarship. Yeah, I was outside starting back, but I wasn't the one that, saved the team. I never was that one. A lot of times I got overlooked. And I just want people to know that hard work does pay off, and that at some point you get to influence someone at some point in your career, in your athletic career, in your work career, whatever it is, you have the ability to influence someone 100%. Just keep working hard, get your head down, don't settle, and just keep pushing. And that's what I want to, and that's honestly why I did the show. I promised my sixth graders back in Texas, I told them, dream big, chase your dreams. Don't settle, keep going. And that's why I told them I was leaving to go to Denver. That's why I told them that I would get on the show for them, because I want them to dream big and to set those goals for themselves.
Thank you all for tuning in to today's installment of the Athletes of the Titan Games podcast. To learn more about each of these Titan athletes, be sure to check out their information in the links in my show notes. Furthermore, To stay up to date on all things coming out of the Keep Moving Forward Creators Studio, be sure to subscribe to the Keep Moving Forward podcast iTunes channel and follow along on social media, also available in the show notes. As the creator of the Titan Games, Mr. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson says, "Titans aren't born, they're made." And I hope today's story helped you realize all that you are capable of becoming if you put in that hard work and just keep moving forward.